We're gonna go live here. Just a sec. I think it is live now.
It'll take like.
Yeah, no, it's definitely live now. How do I pop up the chat? Whoa, what did I just do? Hide the chat? No, I don't want to hide the chat.
Move over that. Like, I'm hearing double.
You are, but they aren't. Okay, now how do I pop this chat out? Usually there's a pop-up button. Why is this interface different?
Is it because it's a small window?
Yeah, probably. Done. There we go. I think I'm live.
3 dots.
I'm going to try to shrink this down. I think we're live. There we go. Popped out the chat. Boom. Okay, now I can see the chat. Hey, everyone. Mike Rosehart here. If you're just joining on, sorry for the first 10 seconds or 20 seconds of confusion. Can someone let me know if they can hear me? Jonas, Tommy, Rob C, Alex, I see you guys. Thank you. Yeah, if you check on my Instagram live or Instagram stories, you'll see that we did a DIY haircut. I don't go to a barber. I haven't been to a barber in a couple of years now. We do DIY, do-it-yourself haircuts. And in the spirit of this episode, talking about frugality. So in all of my outros to every single video I do, I say the secret to unlocking wealth through you and building wealth, there's 3 levers, right? Spending less, earning more, and maximizing returns. Now, people on YouTube want to watch interactive, engaging content, and most people want to focus on the motivational stuff that's all about earning more and maximizing returns. But the less sexy little cousin and the one that's most impactful in the beginning of your journey is, of course, spending less and being frugal and embracing an efficiency mindset. I'm not talking about scarcity, because you can have an abundance mindset, but also be cognizant and focused on efficiency. And it's so, so important in business and in your personal life to be very, very efficient with what I call dollar maximal utilization. If you're reading this, hit the like button. That's right, Jonas, you know what's up, you know what's good. Good to see you on, Alex. Welcome to see you on. Good to see you on as well. I didn't do usually I do a Facebook. In my Fired Up Finance group, I'll do a quick announcement, let everyone know I'm going live. But I was just with an investor and with a few other people, some really cool people that have helped build me to who I am today. And I think that that was really important. And I let that take a little bit more priority over my time this evening. So I'm a couple of minutes late, and I apologize for that. But big things coming, guys. 100 properties in 2019. We're going to buy 100 properties. We're going to make investors 7 figures. We're going to make a lot of people a lot of money. And in the process, we're going to build some friggin' cool crap. Tommy says, can you talk about what you do for entertainment frugality, Mike? Like going on walks, seeing nature, any fast foods, movies, etc. Tommy, great questions. By the way, guys, if it's too quiet, I can adjust the microphone. I got the volume all set up this time so we can get it just right. Okay. William says, Mike, only 1 restaurant visit entire week was today. Friend that I helped move furniture with picked up the tab. William, right on. That's what I like to hear in 2019. Here's the reason frugality is so important. It has almost a triple effect, but it's really a double effect at least. Most people say, I don't want to cut $1,000 a month from my spending budget. I just want to earn an extra $1,000. But it's not that simple. So $1,000 earned, right? You have to pay tax on everything you've earned. So it's really like you have to earn $1,500 to really save, to be equivalent to saving $1,000. But wait, if you can learn to live on $1,000 less, how much less do you need in retirement with a 4% safe withdrawal rate from your portfolio? Well, let's do the math on that. 1,000, right? Maybe Kyle has a calculator. Can you grab a calculator, Kyle? I'm going to try and do this in my head, but I'm going to probably fail hugely. I'm going to say it's like at least $250,000, just like quick math. But 1,000, right, times 12 is your 12,000 annual spending. Now times that by 25. Should be about 300,000-ish. Is that right? 250, 300,000. So 300,000 exactly. I should know that. 12 times 25 is 300. 300 times 1,000 is 300,000. I should have been able to do that, guys. I'm sorry. I used to be faster. I used to be smarter. Mike has gone soft. Lack of sleep and too much stress. I'm gonna blame it on that. And having a child. I'm gonna blame it on my daughter, my 3-year-old daughter. She's taking the fall for this one. Just kidding. I love her so much. If she ever watches these no, 10 years from now. Eric, how you doing? Good to see you on. Posted stream to Fire Up Finance. Thanks, Jonas. Appreciate that. That's awesome. And if you guys aren't part of that group, join the Fire Up Finance group. It's basically just the YouTube community group there where we talk about like entrepreneurial hustle, real estate, the economy, finance, personal finance, spending less, earning more, maximize your returns, anything you want there. I even am okay with some self-promotion so long as the greater good is there, right? As long as the mission is to serve and help people in some sort of way, I'm okay with self-promotion. If you've read a blog post that's going to add some value to people's lives, cool to throw that up there. I don't want to like, car salesman up there posting that. But if you're a car salesman and you had a frugal car for $1,500 that was $500 below market value, that would be cool to be in the group. I'd be cool with that. But anyway, so hopefully it's coming in loud and clear and the stream's going all right. We're linked in by, Ethernet Cat6 wire, and we got the actual camera set up this time, so it should be nice and smooth for the playback. But talking about frugality, so Mike on this channel had me talking in third person about myself. I had this vision when I started this channel, actually, spending less, earning more, and maximizing returns. Now, I was going to do a lot of videos on frugality, but my first couple of videos, I tried to talk about frugality and didn't get much engagement at all. So I focused more on strategies to earn more, but more specifically on real estate, earning more, and maximizing returns with real estate. But at the end of the day, I used to be a financial planner, and I still love personal finance. And the core piece is on frugality. So I just talked a minute ago about how after tax, you have to earn $1,500 to save $1,000, but there's more to the story than that. Not only do when you spend less, not only are you able to retire faster because you're saving more, and because let's be honest here, most people say they can go earn $1,500 more, but they can't. Most people can't control their top line. It's a lot harder for 90% of the population to just go out and earn $50,000 more. It's a lot easier for most people to be able to just go save and trim $25,000 off their budget. So that's why we're going to talk about spending less, because when you're just starting this journey, most people have a car that's a gas guzzler, they financed it, they're eating out every single day, et cetera, right? So most people in the start of their journey, when it really matters, are not saving and they're not investing in their future. And I did a video last Saturday, because I'm doing a weekly upload every single Saturday around noon, where I talked about the value of compound interest, and more specifically the value of $1 today. So if you're 20 years old today, $1 when you're 65 is worth 64 times, right? Minimum 64 times. And that's just at like 9 or 10% growth rate. If you can grow like I did in real estate at 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% rates of return, then of course that dollar is worth thousands of dollars. Every dollar I saved when I was 20 years old is already worth dozens of times greater than what it was originally. So every dollar is huge to save. Terry Davis, hey, how's it going? Michael Chung, good to see you on. As the regulars pour in, sorry I'm a few minutes late on this stream. We're just talking about how to spend less and how to be more frugal, because spending less is very, very important to, I think, really it's one of the core tenets of financial independence. You'll notice that the common theme is people are very efficient with their dollars. They're good at dollar efficiency. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this segment. If you stay tuned, I will give you strategies about how I save money on everything from groceries to car insurance to housing. I have a solution for every single area of your life. I don't have all the solutions because you're going to come up with your own creative solutions, but I'm going to give you examples and ideas, and then it's up to you to be creative, to architect a scenario where you can actually learn to spend less. And obviously there's a bottom to spending. You can only spend so little. At a certain point you need to spend, but I'm going to try to say, I think you could live a $40,000 a year lifestyle on $20,000. I think you could live a $60,000 a year lifestyle on $25,000 or $30,000. So you feel like your neighbor who's spending 60, but you're really spending 25. And so that's what I want to talk about here. Hey, Austin, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2019, everyone. The first stream of the year, of course, focused on frugality and how you spend less and strategies specifically to spend less, because most of the main people out there, and the media really needs to focus on spending less, more, because they want us. Most of the media focuses on how you can consume. How much more can you consume this year? GDP is about consumption. How can we spend? How can we earn more? How can we maximize returns? Because that's good for corporations. But you know what? Frugality is good for you. It's good for your family, and it's good for your financial future. So that's what we're going to talk about, ways to maximize dollar utility, how to make your dollars more effective and more you can utilize them better. So dollar utility is the focus of today. And we're going to get into exactly some of those things. Don't forget, this is a community. If you have advice for some people yeah, so if you, this is a community, exactly. Jump in the comments. I would love, if you're watching this replay, to smash that like button, and of course jump in the comments and tell me what strategies that you've used to save money too, because I'm always learning about new ways to save more money, and I love them. I've come across thousands of frugal hacks along the way, and a lot of them weren't even my own idea, or they were an idea of someone else planted in my head that I made a small tweak to make it even better. But let's go through some real examples. I'm going to expose to you what I'm spending right now. I'm spending around $2,400 a month to live right now. Now that changes depending on what I'm doing. That's on the personal side, $2,400 a month to live approximately. Now, how do I do that when I have a wife and a family and we live in a great house, and we're not even car free. We have a car that we share. How do we do all this? Well, it's about dollar utility, and how do we live a good life doing that? Again, about dollar utility. So let's get into some real examples. Mr. Beefy 971, how you doing? Good to see you on. Talking about frugality. So if people have frugal tips they can share, I would love that. I'd love to see that in the comments here. Because again, community, we're all going to learn how to do this together. And having become now, much wealthier than I was before, it has a lot less impact now than it did then. Back then, there was every dollar I saved, again, had a 300-fold impact. Every dollar you save, every one coffee you don't have now, every Starbucks you avoid, that $4 becomes $1,200 that you don't need in retirement. So you can go from making $1 million in retirement down to being able to retire on $250,000 or $500,000 and have that lean fire lifestyle just by making some choices. So not only do you get to that number faster because you're saving more aggressively by not spending that money, it's going right into savings, but the second fold is you actually need less in retirement too. So by changing the way you architect your lifestyle, you are in control. And for me, growing up in an impoverished household, I didn't feel like we had control. Like my mom can only make $14 an hour, and that was the cap. There was, other than working more hours, there was no way to earn more money, and so it just was a very scarcity mindset. But spending was something that, like, we didn't actually do all that well growing up. We grew up poor, so we had to just make ends meet. But we were making purchases that weren't, like my mom specifically, that weren't necessarily frugal. And so when I turned of age, I thought, how can I make my money go further? I'm used to living on less, but if I could be a little bit more efficient about X or Y thing here and there, then my dollars will go that much further and I can retire that much sooner. And so that's where kind of this mentality comes from. And that's right. That's right. That's correct. 2,400 includes Tegra Pro, includes me, my wife, and my daughter. Before my daughter came around, we were well under 2,000 a month. Now, if you include my house hacking scenario, I spend even less. When I was at my old place, which now Kyle is living at, I had the basement apartment pretty much covering the mortgage, and then I had the tiny house rented out, and that was covering utilities, property taxes, my food budget, and all other expenses. And so I was basically living for free. Now, if I got really economical and didn't have a wife and a daughter, I probably would have rented out the other bedroom as well, which is what he's actually doing, which is the smart thing to do. He's got like an Airbnb in the house, and he's using the tiny house as a personal space, which is smart and works better for what he's got going on. Right? Parks Creative, yeah. Gonna plug you. If you need a photographer or a videographer or any of that, he does some awesome stuff. And I've watched Kyle grow and develop, and he's getting very, very good at editing. He's getting very, very good with photography. You should see some of his stuff that he posts. It's great. So he's using that as a studio and for business. And anyway, I think Kyle's doing amazing things, and he's going to go really far. Give it like 2 years. He's on a totally different trajectory now, and he'll be fired as well very soon. And I don't mean fired from a job. I mean fired up. Okay, so talking back to frugality, in that example, my living costs were almost nothing. My only living cost, like even food, was covered from the profit of my house hack. So I had architected a scenario where, and you can do this with rent hacking as well. You could do a rent a place, and then I talked about this before, where you rent to rent, or rent to sublet, or rent to Airbnb. Basically, you rent a place out and you rent out unused portions of that house to cover all of the expenses, and you've arbitraged a really cheap place to live, which means you basically found a deal on a place to live and effectively used that to basically cover all your living expenses. So that's a way to get your housing costs to zero. The three big major categories in spending are housing, transportation, and miscellaneous spending. There's also foods up there as a pretty big one, but those are the four big ones. Most people have their variable spending out of control. The average person spends well over $1,000 a month on miscellaneous stuff: shoes, clothes, gifts for friends and family, Starbucks, lunch, They go out to the movies, whatever. Pick your poison, pick your thing. Maybe go to the pub or the bar and they rack up a little tab there. Whatever it is, most people spend a lot of their expenses there. And I spend almost nothing. My variable spending is around $100 a month. That's because we use Frugal tips. So let's go line by line over some cool stuff. Austin Y says, a lot of my peers and coworkers seem to look down the idea of FIRE. Any advice on managing spending, excessive work socials, consistently turning down eating out at restaurants with coworkers? Austin, yeah, you're basically walking. So imagine like everyone's like a fish just floating through the water, running in one direction. Spend, 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 earn to spend, earn to spend, earn to spend. That's the mentality, right? We earn money just to consume endless stuff that sits in our closets that we don't use. To be counterculture, you have to swim against the stream. Now, in the beginning, it's going to be very difficult because everyone else is trying to pull you with them. You're swimming kind of against the stream. But there are strategies and ways to fit in, let's call it. Do you want to fit in is the first question, because I think most of the people who have been great in society are used to going counterculture. And you have to do something that people necessarily won't agree with, or they might think you're a little crazy for doing something. People thought, when I was 18 years old, I remember in one of my internships, I was telling people about this idea that I'm going to retire like 27. And people literally laughed at me. And I've gone back and messaged a few of them, just sent them a link to the video just for fun. And like just as an email, because I had, I remember this person laughing in my face when I was like 21 years old, telling me it was impossible, that they'd been working 35 years and they had financial planners and accountants tell them it was impossible. And just fired them off an email showing them how it was totally possible and how passive income coming in from various sources was more than I needed to live on. I never needed to work another day in my life. And how this actually paid off in such spades that they would never even. Anyway, that's just me being me. But in 10 years, it'll all pay off. So it's going to be hard now, but in 10 years, the point is you will be right. And there's been hundreds, thousands of people who have followed this path now. People like myself, people like, Triple M and the first of the pioneers, Your Money or Your Life, Vicki Robbins, and Jacob Lund-Fisker from Early Retirement Extreme is doing this. He's now 43. He's been doing this for 13 years now. He unlocked financial independence. People have been doing this for a long time. So it's doable. It's counterculture. Let's talk about some strategies. I'm going to show that message, even though it has lol effing savage. I'm going to let that be seen. I like that comment. I allowed it. It says it tried to block it, but I allowed it. So let's talk about strategies. So peers are going to say to you, come out to lunch with me, this and that. I would still go out to lunch on occasion, especially if it was with the right crowd. Now, not always, but if there was, when I was trying to climb, I was an analyst at my full-time job, and then I got promoted to senior analyst and a manager, so I had to show a lot of face. And part of climbing the corporate ladder is sucking up and being who they want you to be. And so I kept it kind of on the low key about some of the real estate stuff until the end. The last year, I just didn't even care. But in the first couple of two years especially, I was building up good morale. I'd be the first to arrive and the last to leave. So I had a strong work ethic. And I developed some great friendship with some awesome people. Now, I would still go out. I would often, not go out as often, but I would still go out on, say, like a Friday or something with friends. And there was deals like Subway used to have, buy a $25 gift card at the holidays and get a free sub. So I would go buy a $25 gift card and use that as my gift to someone in my family, like give that to my mom or something for Christmas. And so I would get a free sub, get to go out, and I would just get a 6-inch sub and maybe bring some lunch from home too. So that basically I was still getting the effect of eating out. You could get, a 6-inch sub and still the exact same effect with your peers, right? You still be able to go with them to Subway and get lunch. Or maybe there's a local spot. There's some cool local spots where you could they had specials on during lunchtime for like $5. And sometimes those specials are cheaper than bringing food from home. So they used to have like $2 specials that were cheaper than actually eating from home. So sometimes I would actually eat out. There's nothing wrong with eating out as long as you're efficient about how you do it. Don't go and spend like $25 on a lunch. And I know people do that, and that's insane to me because you have to work so hard to earn that money. Every dollar you spend, you're going to have to go and work so hard, net of tax, to pay for that. Like when it's Friday, I like to know that every dollar I'm earning, because I'm slaving away on a Friday when I didn't want to be there, I wanted to know every dollar I was earning was going straight to savings. So I would try not to spend on like certain days of the week, just because that, like Mondays were tough, dragging myself into work. So I tried not to eat out Mondays because I was like, if I'm there all day, I want every dollar from today to be saved. So I'd bike to work and then bike home, knowing that it was completely efficient. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So pick out Eastside Mario, as Eric says. If you want to go for dinner somewhere, that's a frugal hack. They have these promotions on, buy one, get one free, BOGO sales. They send out coupons all the time. You just have to look for them. When I go to Jack Astor's, Eastside Mario's, pretty much anywhere, if it's a birthday of my wife or myself or any family member, I know places all around town you sign up for the birthday clubs. Places like Tony Roma's used to do it. I don't know if they still do. There's like the place near Masonville that does really good burgers and stuff. They have a promotion on. You basically get a free meal. If you look on the birthday clubs, go on some of those websites, there's a free meal somewhere, at least 2 free meals on your birthday. So my wife and I, our birthdays are split out enough that like there's 6 months in between. So there's 2 free eat outs a year. If we're lucky, we'll go for lunch and dinner, and you're only paying for one person. So the one person gets a free meal, the other person just goes and gets something very small, maybe like a $10 meal. And then you're basically eating for $5 a person right on a birthday. That's a great. Anniversaries too, they have coupons for anniversaries. But even on a rough day, let's say I'm just having a bad day, we can't make dinner, something's going on, we're renovating our house, there's dust everywhere, as an example, I would go and say, okay, where can we go to eat right now? Okay, Jack Astor's. I look on Jack Astor's VIP Club coupons into Google. What comes up? Oh, right now there's a VIP, sign up your email and you get, spend $25, get $10 off. That was for a long time that coupon was running. And so I would just use new emails every time and get basically a coupon that allowed my wife and I could eat for $25. That's like $12 a person for a meal. That's pretty normal for Jack Astor's. Their pad thai's like $13, big pad thais. And I would get maybe like a jacked up poutine with, pulled pork and all this on it. And it'd be very hearty. And it was considered like an appetizer. So it would come for like $9. It was crazy. And then I'd get like another side as well. So this was like a little hack, just trying to be efficient about what I bought while I was there. But effectively take that meal for $25, get the coupon off, right? So it's like $10 and then a small tip and a little bit of tax. And you can eat for like $15 to $7 a person on the high side. If you're feeling a little stingy, maybe if the waitress was doing all right and they were, they had 5 other tables and you could tell that they're with some other groups that were tipping like $2 to $5, that's like $30, $40 an hour in tips. I sometimes won't even tip at all. I'll tip like 50 cents because I believe honestly that yes, they're getting slightly less than minimum wage, but with all those other tips, they're being overpaid. And so I'm not going to contribute to that overpaying. Yeah, there's an example. Tipping's up to you guys. I'm not going to tell you there's a right percentage. They say 10 to 15% is normal. I tip a flat amount, typically, like a couple of bucks. Now, it depends on how busy the waitress is, or the waiter. If there's no one else in the restaurant, I feel really bad. I'll tip like maybe even like $5 if they've got no one else and they've just waited on me. But if they got 3, 4 other tables, 5 other tables, there's no need for all of us to be tipping $5. That's insane. That's $30 an hour plus their wage from their employer. That's like $40. I'm sorry, a server does not need to make more than 20% of our minimum wage maybe. And so anyway, that's an argument for another day. But I know some servers who worked at places like Jack Astor's and Tony Roma's, and they were making, and Moxie's, and they make $80,000 to $100,000 a year. That's insane. Some of them drop out of school just to stay waiters. They drop out of real good paying jobs. So I don't think serving is that valuable. But anyway, that's just me. Don't be so frugal that you don't tip at all. Like if the waiter's giving you good service, you know what, and they don't have any other tips coming in, be generous, especially like around the Christmas season. Maybe they have kids or something. You got to look at the situation. Every situation is different. I don't have a blanket amount that I tip. It's just not me. I've actually tipped 0 before for bad service. Nothing. If you're giving me bad service, you don't get a tip. You're just going to get a tip because everyone's supposed to just tip 15%. If you're actually delivering bad service, you don't get a tip. But most cases, 95% of the time, I have great waiters and I do tip. But yeah, so that's one example of we just ate out for the night for $7 a person. Now that's not going to break your bank if you're doing that even every other week. Even every week, that's still less than $80 a month. That's not going to crush you. I have people message me and show me their budgets, and they're spending $1,000 on eating out. I don't know what they're doing. Like, what are they drinking? Like keggers at like the keg and steaks? I don't know how you're spending $1,000 eating out. I don't know. I guess people are so inefficient that they're literally spending. It works out to like $30 a day. Maybe they're going on Just Eat or one of those, meal services. They're delivering the food to their home. You got to be making a lot of money. You got to be making a lot of money. You need to be well into the 6 figures to be able to afford to live that kind of lifestyle. You don't live the rich person, fast lifestyle if you're on a broke person's salary, right? It's just not the way to do it. But anyway, so eating out, those are things we can do. Always find a coupon. Always look for the most efficient thing on the menu. There's always always something on the menu that's better priced. Now at Jack Astor's, you'll see a bunch of stuff for 22 bucks. The Keg. You want to go to the Keg for an anniversary dinner? My wife and I get the awesome like the steak and it's like steak and lobster. It's a big combo. It's like 50 bucks, but it comes with so much portion. We order an extra side. We say, we're really hungry. I want an extra side, and we split it in half. $20 a person to eat at the Keg. Most people pay $45 a person. Just get I go for the biggest thing on the menu, even if it's 45 or 50 bucks. It might be more money for that individual meal, but it's enough to feed 2 people. And so we'll get the experience of going to the Keg and the atmosphere, and maybe it'll be our anniversary, so they'll give us a free dessert too, which is very common. And endless bread as well, of course, the Keg. That's an example of like how I'm sitting at the table eating lobster and steak and beautifully garnished vegetables and mashed potatoes and whatever else. And I look over to me, and the table to my left is eating the exact same thing in slightly higher quantity with alcohol to go with it, I'm sure, and a nice little appetizer to start. And their bill's $150 and mine's $40. So how can we be both having the exact same experience, but I'm spending $100 less? That's what it's all about. That's dollar cost efficiency and effectivity, I think, at its best. So skip the dishes and Uber Eats. That's exactly what I was talking at right there. That FU money, love it. Advice on managing spending and excessive work socials. So a lot of employers have excessive work socials, Austin. Most of the times they're free, and so you can just go and say, hey, you know what, I would just say I'm gonna pledge this year. I'm not drinking. And for a long time, for like 3 years, I didn't drink any alcohol, and now it was partly a purity thing, partly like I just didn't like my headspace when I was drinking, and so I wanted to stay on that entrepreneur, clear headspace mindset, and so I just wasn't drinking. But mainly, it costs a lot of money to drink, and I just was trying to save the money. So whenever I go to a social, I didn't have to drink. I just drink water and just say, oh, it's a health thing. You could just say whatever it is to make you not feel ostracized. That's okay. I'm going to give you permission to do that. So there's one thing. Consistently turning down eating at a restaurant with coworkers. Don't consistently turn down. Just say, let's go. I got a slam week this week. I'm feeling really stressed out. Can we go next week? There you go. Now you go out with them, and then that'll satisfy them for a few months, and you're good to go. Try to get as many people to go to the restaurant with you as possible. That's what I used to do. So then when you do pay for your meal, 10 people see you doing that, and you get to show face as not being frugal. Because the 2 times a year you go out, you make sure everyone's there to see you eating out. And that's one way to keep up appearances, and something that I used to do a lot of. Keeping up appearances is tough in the corporate world. That's why I wanted to get out of there, because it's just like everyone comes to work with new clothes, and it's just this, like, everyone has a new Apple iWatch and a new phone and this new thing and that new thing, and it's like, wow, that's where your whole salary is going, and that's why I'm going to retire and you won't. And so that's what you have to keep in mind, is that yes, they have all these nice new things and nice new trips and nice new this and that, and they're going everywhere, but you don't know what's going on under the covers. More likely than not, they're maxed out with credit card debt. Once you get into that cycle, at 22% interest, their trip is going to cost them double every 3 years. So they're putting it on credit card, and they're going to pay for that later, right? Or they're at least delaying their retirement. They're kicking their future self in the face, kicking the can down the road, and worrying about the future. And you guys know from my last video, all those people who watched my last video, that it's you guys know, is my stream still going? I think it is. Yeah, it's still going. Stream health yellow, but still going. Okay, so you guys know that kicking the can down the road is very hard. You have to save. You save 100,000 now. It's the same as saving. What is 100 times 64? 6,400. So you have to save 6,400 for every $100. So that's a lot of saving you're gonna have to do later on. They're really shooting themselves in the foot, and so they have to rely on things like government pension, which you don't want to be in that position. I don't want you to be in that position either. That's just food. We're just talking about eating out and managing social appearances. Clothes, I love to go to places like Winners. I used to get these really awesome, what was the name of the brand? They're like Steve Madden shoes, really decent brand, for like $20. And there was like a scuff on them or something from the manufacturer, a weird stitching on it. Great shoe, just a small little issue with it, brand new, $20. You pay $120 new. Little things like that. I went to Moores and I negotiated 3 really nice, like not really nice, but decently nice suits, a gray, a black, and a dark navy suit, just so I had 3 different color suits. And I needed suits. I was in the business world, so I needed to have a suit. I was a consultant, but I would go in to meet with a CTO or something, Chief Technology Officer. I needed to dress the part. And so I needed to have those things. But I got those suits, I think they ended up throwing in a deal. It was buy one, get one free. Plus I negotiated some like 20% coupon. And they screwed up the stitching on one of the suits. And so I got them to throw in a third suit for free. And so it's one of those examples where I got a whole wardrobe of suits that would cost someone $4,000 for like $400. That's an example of where you can be frugal and just, maybe you got to spend an extra 3 hours on a Saturday looking around, but you can do it. You can find ways to just be more efficient with your spending. And it's a time balance thing too. Like nowadays I have a lot less time than I used to. And so you might catch me actually spending full price on things once in a while. Like, you know, I might go to Eastside Mario's and pay full price. I might go no, I would never go full price in Nora's and pay for a suit. The markup's insane. Check out like, what is it? Alain Dupé. They have $49 suits online now. They didn't have that stuff back in 2010, but in 2012 and 2014, but they do now. And $49 suits all day long. I get emails about it all the time. Full suits. You get red suit, whatever. I'm going to buy probably a red suit for the 10X conference. Grant Cardone's doing the 10X conference. I'm going with a couple of friends just for the fun of it, just to get the raw motivation and a quick trip to, you know, Miami, Florida. Why not? Why not? So that'll be fun. And yeah, I mean, that's the future, is using online retailers to get extreme discounts, but just watching your prices on things like clothing. Clothing lasts forever too. I don't buy clothing that often. I get mostly like this kind of stuff. I get these shirts and sweaters and stuff for gifts. And I got this like 2 years ago. I think my dad got it on sale or something, gave it to me as a Christmas gift. It's probably like a $20 sweater, but this sweater should last me, I don't know, 20 years. And so it should cost like $1 a year for a sweater. If you're buying new sweaters all the time and this and that, that'll start costing a lot of money. But anyway, let's go down and get some of these questions answered here, have some interaction. So Tiger Pro says you can buy a full cooked chicken for $5, no tax at the grocery store. Wow. I rarely see that. Most of the time I see them $7.50. But again, the chickens are great. If you do like chicken, get a loaf of bread, go to the superstore and get their home baked loaves for 98 cents plus 10% off for student deals on Tuesdays. So it's like 80 something cents. Yes, I still have a student card that's not dated that I still use. Plus PC points. So I'm getting a loaf of bread for 80 cents, right? And you can get the whole grain stuff too. And you could make chicken sandwiches or something and feed yourself for a few meals for a couple of bucks. Same is true for even things like lentils are great to make delicious meals. Vegetables, raw foods you make yourself are actually relatively affordable. It's the processed foods that are more expensive anyway, and you don't want to be eating that stuff. So yeah, good points. I just started giving away some frugal hacks right there. Going to the grocery store, the superstore on Tuesdays, and using apps like Flip to price match. Pull out Flip and price match. Very, very important. You can search cauliflower, lettuce, whatever you want. You can pull it up and see what's for sale. And just price match. You get the best quality produce, superstore, and you just price match it. So Real Canadian Superstore is a big win if you live in Ontario. Okay, what are your thoughts on vendor take-back mortgages, and how do you propose making that offer? Alan Lawrence, good question. I want to do a video on this because vendor take-back mortgages are interesting. They're awesome in some cases. Some cases they aren't, some cases they are. It depends on who you're dealing with. Most sellers, call it 9 out of 10 sellers, 8 out of 10 sellers, are resistant to vendor take-back mortgages. Now you can convince them, probably maybe 10% of those guys you could convince into a vendor take-back mortgage. People who don't have, for vendor take-back to work, vendor take-back is basically, we're getting off topic of frugality, but you know what, we'll talk about it because I guess, now we are in frugality, because if you could learn to spend less interest on your mortgage, then theoretically that would be a spending less category. And I'm all about efficiency and spending less. So let's do that. Let's dive into this, because this is a spending less item on your rental property business and on your personal, especially if you're buying a house. If you couldn't be approved for an A lender mortgage and you had to go to a B lender mortgage like Magenta or one of those guys who charge 7, 8, 9, 10%, then getting a vendor take-back mortgage would be cheaper than going to a B lender or a C lender. So if you were smart about how you negotiated the terms. Now, for a vendor take-back mortgage to work, the seller of the property has to also be in a position where they can provide you the mortgage on the property effectively. So imagine if the seller has a mortgage from another bank, that won't work. They have to be able to sell the property to you, and they have to pretty much own the property in cash. Now imagine if they have a 10 or 20% of the value of the property left as a mortgage, you could give them 10 or 20% down, and they could pay off that mortgage and hold the rest of their equity as a mortgage on the property. Vendor take back, meaning if you default on the mortgage payments to them, they will take back their own property. And so if they believe in the property, most owners have no problem selling you the property and then providing a mortgage for the difference. So on close, basically what happens is instead of you giving, say the house is $100,000, instead of you giving the owner $100,000, maybe it's in the form of $80,000 mortgage, $20,000 cash, maybe it's $100,000 cash, whatever it is on your side, instead of doing that and giving them $100,000 to your lawyer to give to their lawyer, you say, okay, we're going to set up an agreement wherein you have equity in this property as the current seller, current owner, and as seller, you're going to provide me, the buyer, with a mortgage on the property. That mortgage is going to be, call it $90,000. You can work at a deal where it's $95,000. I'm going to give you $5,000 down. So on close of the property will become mine. It will go under my name on title. You will register a first or second charge mortgage against the title of the property for the amount of the mortgage. Let's call it $95,000. So you might work at a deal where you put $5,000 down and they put up $95,000. So their 95% of the value is held by the seller in the form of a mortgage. Now it's up to you to negotiate your terms. You might say, I want a 10-year fixed rate term at 4%. Now that'd be great. As prime goes up, we're going to see again harder and harder to get those kinds of rates. Previously, even 6 months ago, you could have locked in at, someone could have done a better take back at 3.5%. I've heard stories about this, like Adam Martin, who got really, really good negotiated terms. Now in those cases, I think he maybe overpaid for the house a little bit, but that's okay because he got a really good mortgage, right? So you might say your house is worth 100. You, knowing you don't have 100,000 and no way to get a mortgage, might say to them, I'll give you $110,000 for your house, but I want to do a vendor take back scenario. So effectively you're buying. So this is what a lot of the vendor take back people do. So be careful because you might be paying too much for the house. A lot of people do this. They'll bake in the seller, whatever the seller wants. They'll say, I'll give you whatever you want, but I need a vendor take back mortgage. And you explain to them how it works. And there's a whole elaborate process about how you could explain to them how a mortgage works. And you want to work it out with the seller. Sometimes I've met sellers who are bad with money and have a partner who maybe they have a wife or a husband who are bad with money. And they say, I want a vendor take back mortgage. I don't want you to give me a pile of cash. In a year, that'll be spent. But if you gave me $600 interest and $400 principal and a mortgage payment for the next 10 years, give me $1,000 a month for the next 10 years, that would go a long way to helping our family. So selling this family home or selling this investment property, that would actually give us a lot, that would help us a lot. But simply selling it won't do it. So sometimes actually a vendor take back can sweeten the deal. I've gotten a lower purchase price by trying to throw in vendor take back, and it's hard. It's never really worked out. Vendor takebacks never have really worked out for me, only because I've been able to borrow money privately, and so I haven't really needed to do a vendor takeback. But I'm trying to think of a really good vendor takeback scenario. I have friends who've done really good ones. I've worked out some kind of weird short-term ones, but never a long-term vendor takeback proper mortgage. The idea is you want to refinance the property anyway and pay out the vendor. Make sure you put in clauses like the right to be able to pay out the mortgage anytime in full without penalty. And then so you're in control. You can just discharge the mortgage anytime you want. You can even agree to a 7% or 8% rate of return and be in really, really good shape. So that's something to think about too at the end of the day. Vendor take back, great way to potentially save you money on interest, especially if you don't have an A-lender job. You couldn't qualify for an A-lender type property. But anyway, let's go back to being frugal. Oh, that was kind of being frugal. Vendor take back could theoretically not only earn you more money by getting you into a property that you couldn't otherwise have gotten into, but also save you some money. If you could negotiate a vendor take back interest rate at, let's say, like 3%, that would be a really cheap mortgage at 3%. You can't even be really hard to get a fixed rate mortgage from a bank at 3%. And some of these vendor take back mortgages are 15 or 20 years in length. So you're fixed in for 15 or 20 years at a guaranteed rate. That's pretty sweet. They don't have really a way to call the mortgage if you continue to make the mortgage payments. So you're actually in control, and that's fairly valuable, especially if we go into a high interest rate environment. That mortgage becomes very, very valuable. So definitely. Okay, hope that answered your question, Alan. Alan Lawrence, that was a great question about vendor takebacks. I want to do a whole video on that at some point, but basically just got the synopsis of a vendor takeback right here, right now. Okay, Austin says, thanks, Mike. No problem, Austin. Do you think it would be better to keep the FIRE movement or my FIRE goals to myself, considering the majority of people that I surround myself with seem to be closed-minded or judgmental? Yeah, it's tricky. I did choose who I told it to. towards the end, I was getting very close, and I remember when I got to like $500,000 in wealth, and I was like, okay, if I had to, I could invest this right now in the stock market and pull out 5%. It would cover my living expenses. So I was actually sort of financially independent already, but I wasn't truly 4% safe withdrawal rate or even 2% safe withdrawal rate, which is my actual target. So at that time, I started telling everyone. And I remember getting into screaming matches. I had HR come to me one time and tell me, Mike, you're not allowed to talk, don't talk about anything personal finance related. Another coworker overheard you talking about this idea of financial independence, and it made them feel sick to their stomach because they were maxed out on credit card debt. So they said, it's just like, Mike, imagine someone's kid died and you're talking about your child. That's rude. And I'm like, really? So I can't talk about, not only can I talk about politics, religion, my favorite topics, philosophy, but I can't talk about money, can't talk about what I bought, how I buy, but my coworkers can talk about what they're buying. They're flashing new items and flashing around the new iWatches and this and that, but I can't talk about how little I'm saving. No, because that's hurting people's feelings. It's crazy. So be careful, because yes, people do get easily offended, especially people who rack up massive debt because they make bad personal choices, or they make bad personal choices and then something happens in their life, like someone gets sick in the family and they didn't plan and have a contingency budget. So they blame all their financial troubles on the health problem or on, some setback that happened. They lost their job or whatever. But really and truthfully, it was not the job loss. It was not the health problem. It was not, someone broke in and stole something from them. It was not the economy. Really, it was their bad spending, and they had no contingency or no budget there for something to go wrong. They didn't have a couple thousand set aside. They were living on the edge. So when something happened, they blamed the straw that broke the camel's back, not the actual problem, right? And so that's just a symptom of our current society. And so, yeah, at a high level, I do think that do what feels right for you. At the end of the day, I can't tell you one way or the other. I had some really close friends that I ended up sharing financial independence with, and they got some value from that too. And so it's therapeutic for you to share as well. And keeping this thing to yourself, I think it's good to have a community. At least there's a community online. We're here to support you. I'm here to support you. All of us are here to support each other in this movement. And so there's that. I know 90% of people are going to be haters, and they're going to have their reasons why they think it's impossible, why it won't work, why it can't work. It can work, and the FIRE movement is amazing. And why wouldn't you want your freedom? And Retirement Place are going to come on here and say, Mike, you don't have your freedom. You work aggressively in a business. You just became a realtor. You're a real estate agent now, Mike. Oh, that's a full-time job, Mike. You're a CEO of an investment management company, a property management company. You're far from retired. Yes, and no. I am retired in the sense that I do what I want with my life. I wake up every day at like 10 or 10:30. I always wake up late. That's just who I am. I like to stay up till like 2 in. I binged, guys, Black Mirror last night. I almost wanted to do a video on it. Has anyone seen Bandersnatch? I was literally playing on Netflix, going through the different scenarios on Bandersnatch. I don't want to give no spoilers here, but there's like dozens of endings, and some of them are really morbid, but I couldn't find any ending that was perfect. I'm not going to give any spoilers away because you should check out. It's like a video game meets movie. It's a movie where you choose what happens, and so they have like 8 hours of movie footage, and I guess you kind of choose the different paths. Anyway, that's just me. I know watching TV, like guys like Gary Vee would stab me in the face, and everyone says don't watch TV and to watch movies, but you know what? You gotta do something you enjoy. And for me, I'm a bit of a movie buff. I like to check out new horror movies or I just enjoy that. That for me, I'm an introvert. That for me is really my relaxation time. Every night I have a cool down period. I'm just by myself, goal setting and whatnot. And I'll usually have a few movies on. I like to watch. It's entertaining. Now, I don't spend my whole life just watching TV, of course. And my version of retirement would not be that. I couldn't do that 15 hours a day. I can't travel for 15 hours. I can't travel my whole time. I go away to California. I was just in LA, guys, and Vegas. You know that. And while I was there, I come home after 2 weeks and I'm homesick. I miss home. I miss my bed. So some people travel just isn't for me. I like to travel on occasion. I do really enjoy traveling, but I also miss what's going on at home. And so for me, my version of retirement is building really cool businesses and meeting a lot of really cool people. I've had the impacts I've been having on people through YouTube and Instagram. I never even imagined some of the lives that I've changed this past year. People reach out, people I didn't even talk to sometimes, and reach out and say, Mike, I've watched 100 of your videos, and your perspective has opened new doors for me, and now I'm doing this or that with my life, and I wasn't going there before. Thank you so much. That is like, wow, this is why I'm doing it. YouTube revenue, I don't care about that. Like, I'm probably going to lose money on that side. Or, you know, like the investment property stuff. People are saying, Mike, everyone else in Toronto, Ottawa, Hamilton, Kitchener-Waterloo, Windsor, all the markets, they're all doing the 50-50 joint venture partnership. Why are you only doing 12 or 15% and giving them like 80% of cash flow? Because I don't need the money. Because I've built a model that works for my investors to help them reach financial independence. And I want to make some money too. Let's not pretend that I'm trying to build a business as a charity, because it is a business. I want to be able to employ people, and I want it to be profitable enough to bring a lot of cool people into this business. And we're not there yet. Like, we are barely profitable. The money we're charging for management fees is not covering things. The hope is that down the line, we can refinance some of these properties or sell some of these properties and create some real cash flow, because that's really where the money is being made. But the investor gets most of the cash flow. So I'm not really, if I was doing 50-50 joint venture partnerships right now, I would have like $10,000 coming in right now. We'd be doing way better than what our new model is aligned to. But it's not about just squeaking out the most cash flow, the most money for me. It's about helping the investor, right, and trying to break the industry mold. Why am I doing this? To get back to the main question of what is that whole ramble was really just me talking about my version of retirement. That's retirement for me right now. Now, that might not be the retirement for me 6 months from now. I might have, and ideally, we have a system of 15 or 20 people. They're the core people running this business. They're the engine, and I'm basically just up here steering a little bit. That would be nice. I'm not there yet. I'm getting to that point. There's always a lot of satisfaction, and I enjoy a lot the grind. Like when I used to be a gamer, I want to get back into gaming. That's one of my resolutions for 2019. Most people are saying I want to work harder. I'm trying to say this year I want to work less hard. I want to work a lot smarter. I want to do 100 property deals this year, but put in less time than I did last year to buy 30. So being more efficient, getting people in to help me. Mike isn't going to be wielding the drill, swinging the hammer, the utility knife. It's not going to be me this year. I'm going to have people doing all of that. It's not even going to be me collecting the rents this year. It's not even going to be me doing the paperwork. We're going to get that systematized, right, in a lot of ways, so that I don't have to manually be doing all that crap. It's going to be me focusing on the places where I can add the most value. So I can talk to investors and I can bring on deals. That's something I can't outsource. I can't outsource the deal acquisition process, the high-level renovation management, the places where I can add tens of thousands of dollars an hour in value. That's the place I should be. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. And I also enjoy that the most. I love investor lunches. It's like the highlight of my life, and property tours too. I love going to a property and saying, like, how can I rearrange this in the property or that in the property to add value here or there. So that's really huge at the end of the day. Definitely, that's for me a modern retirement. And I get to spend a lot of time with my daughter and my wife. I prioritize 4 hours every day, and I'm around the house all the time. I work from home and in my back office, so I come in and see my daughter down for a nap and see her when she wakes up, and see her at dinner, and I'm going to see her after the Wise Well show. I get to do bath time with her every night. I'm so thankful for that. That's my version of retirement. Now, some retirement police would like to see me just, I don't know, not doing anything. And I don't think that's a healthy way to be in retirement if you want to live a good, fruitful, and joyful life. So I'm going to get through some of these questions. Some really cool people in here. Benjamin Truong says, hey, Mike, big fan from Western Canada. Would you ever do a meetup in Alberta by chance? Benjamin, actually, I did a road trip through, we drove all the way we drove to Vancouver and then up to the Yukon and then came back. And a buddy of mine last October, and I stopped in places like Regina, went to a real estate mastermind meetup. It was really cool. So I did try to line up some cool things along the way, and that was fun. Yeah, I would totally do it again. I wouldn't have the energy to organize a meetup, but if one was kind of happening, I'd be down to join in and check it out, especially if I was on a road trip again up that way. Probably not for a little while, but I mean, my business partner might drive his car back out to Vancouver, and so I'd probably go on with him on the ride. That'd be kind of fun. Sure, why not? I'm definitely open to that. Okay, let's go through some of these questions. What's your flooring preference, laminate or LVP? LVP stands for luxury vinyl plank. Luxury vinyl plank all the way. I'm doing vinyl everywhere. I hate laminate. Laminate sucks. Gets a little bit of water between the cracks and it swells. It's not great. I used to be a big laminate fan because it was a lot cheaper to install and easier to install. Actually, that's not true. It's been harder. Vinyl plank is easier to install, especially the stuff they had now. 5-10 years ago, the products were crap. It would scratch easy. It just wasn't a nice product to work with. The stuff they have today has really good texture. It feels the exact same as laminate, if not a little bit better. It's not quite as warm as a laminate product, but I'm a big fan of luxury vinyl plank because of the water resistance. You walk in with your boots on, and you spill some water, it melts, whatever. With laminate, you got to wipe it up quick. You don't need to do that with luxury vinyl plank. If someone passes out drunk at a rental property and pisses on the floor, it's okay. The vinyl plank can stand up to it. So that's why I'm a big fan of luxury vinyl plank. It's very tenant proof, has a longer lifespan, and it really does well with moisture. So it does really well in basements. It's the only thing I'll put in basements. It's way cheaper than tile, easy to replace and repair. I can get it now for like $1.67 a square foot. So yeah, definitely big fan of luxury vinyl plank. This is the way to go. Skip the dishes. We did that. We talked about this. FU money, Jonas. That's right. It's all about that FU money, that fire money. Allows you to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. Let's drag this up here and keep going. I'm just going to drag it down. Okay. What are your thoughts on better take back mortgages? I talked about that one already. Winners. Yeah, Winners is great. Talese has a good spot in London. There's like Free Cycle is a good place to go. You get free stuff. People just give it away and kind of go on the free giveaways on Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. Someone's giving something away always. And I've seen like hats and coats and cool stuff like that being given away. And I also do the same thing. When I'm done with something, I'll just kind of give it away on Free Cycle or sell it for like $2. Mr. BV says, what would you recommend for work for someone working on fire? It depends. I think whatever pays well, and you want it to pay decently well. But if you're not going to focus on pay, focus on enjoyment or knowledge. So those are like the three kind of things that make sense to me. There's also mastery, autonomy, and purpose long-term, the triangle, right? So you want to do something that you're good at. You want to do something that's meaningful and purposeful to you, that you enjoy. And then, of course, you want to have autonomy about how you do it. So you don't want a boss saying, show up at 9 o'clock sharp, stay till 5:30. You want to be able to do something. Like when I give an employee a task, I say you do it when you want. You come in at 10 if you want. As long as the job's done by the 2nd of January, I don't care right now. Say it's the 20th. Get it done in the next little while. I don't care if you work nights, you work days, barring, of course, if there's some constraint, like, can't reno in the middle of the night if there's tenants at the property in the other unit or something, right? But barring those constraints, I'm very flexible. And I think that that's the future. We should be able to choose when and how we work. And so that's like the best kind of job. Kyle, you're an animal. I heard that too. And so did everyone else on YouTube. If they didn't, they did now. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. I don't know. We were talking about, my brain's gone blank now. I'll move on to the next question. Maybe it'll jog my memory. Secondhand stores, 50 cents, 2 for 4 t-shirts, $2 to $4. Yeah, exactly. You can get cheap clothing. Clothing should not be a large percentage of your budget. Okay, what other frugal questions have people brought to me? William says, Mike, can you talk vacation hacks? Do you rent your house out when you're away? Thank you. I've heard of this, not successfully pulled. Actually, I did pull this off while I was away on my trip to Ottawa. We rented our house out. And we brought in enough to cover the Ottawa trip. That was kind of cool on Airbnb. But very rarely can you actually pull this off. And you're risking all your stuff being damaged, especially not being there on vacation. You can do it. I know people that do it, and they have some success. Talking about vacations, okay, so at a high level, credit card hacking. You've got to be doing it. Go and get, when I had more time and I was more focused on it, I would sign up for all the biggest credit cards. Go check out like RateHub. RateHub.ca or .com has a great credit card review site. There's a couple other good ones. Don't go to RateHub for their mortgages. Go to RateSpy for their mortgages. RateHub, you got to pay to be on there, and so they have more expensive mortgage rates. Don't trust them. Go to RateSpy. But RateHub is okay for credit cards. you can see what people are offering. There used to be one where you get $300 bonus sign up and travel points. There's another one that had $400 bonus in your first 3 months if you make a minimum $1,000 purchase. So I just put my purchases that I was going to make anyway onto the credit card and get the sign up bonus, keep the credit card open, and then you cycle and you close it eventually and open up another credit card and get the promotion and then do it again, right? So it's basically called credit card churning. And I did a video on this a long time ago. You guys can check it out. It's like me holding some credit cards, like digitally, like this in front of my couch. It got flagged for demonetization because I was credit hacking. So I wasn't actually doing anything illegal. I was just talking about how to basically hack up different credit cards and not actually hack them up, but strategies to get cool signing bonuses. For a long time, used to use credit. There was 2% cashback cards. I put all my renovations on those cards, and I got like $1,000 or $2,000, I'm sure, in points over the time for travel, and used those points to travel on my trip to the Yukon, to fly back to the Yukon with my family. We flew to Florida and back. We flew, part of our trip to Brazil was actually covered on points, which was really cool to fly to Brazil and back that was in 2014. And did we use points? I think I used some points on the LA trip. No, I didn't use points on the LA trip, but you can use points to basically travel for free. My argument would be live a frugal life and put everything on a credit card, but pay it off at the end of the month. Do not carry balance ever. Never let the credit card company get $1 in interest or late payments out of you. Make sure that you are for sure 100% always paying the balances, but use the credit card bonuses to your advantage. Have cashback cards. I would love it when my employer would be like, can you go buy this for me? I'll reimburse you on your pay after next. So like I always get reimbursed in 4 weeks or something, but it was just in time when the credit card was due. And I'd go buy supplies for a consulting workshop, like $500, or we would go eat out because you have to take the client out for food and the company would pay for it, which is another reason I was able to eat out for free because I could just expense it. But that was only if I was meeting a client. We were on a client site, not if I was in the office. But that I would take all those expenses. I'd have like $1,000 in expenses from hotels and food and all that when we were traveling. And then I would get to write all that off. That $1,000, I would get 2% cash back, let's say, or 2%. It was always in rewards points. So I get $20 in rewards points. Easy, right? That adds up to thousands of dollars. I would go on usually one trip a year because I was super frugal. Like it'd be like every 15 months or so we'd go on a trip. And I like to go on like trips every so often. I do get like stir crazy and need to go and check someplace out. So I do like to get away once in a while, but not all the time. I couldn't travel all the time. And I would say my vacation budget was zero, nothing. I used literally credit card churning. So I'd have like 5 credit cards, churn them all for $500 rewards each, plus the rewards from my spending on renovations. I'd have a couple grand every 15 months or so to use towards a trip, or at least $1,000 to use towards my trip. So your vacations budget should be zero, just credit card hack. Sign up for these credit cards. You can put in whatever you want. They don't even check the applications. It's so easy to get approved. Just say you make like $70,000 a year and they don't even check anything. That you didn't hear that from me. That was not an official thing that I would ever condone or say, but they're really easy to get approved for. Yeah, so that's a vacation hack. Of course, some hacks. Aeroplan has fixed mileage trips. They're like 25,000 air miles for a round trip anywhere, just a flat price. I used to use that all the time. It was great because it was just a fixed price, so you could theoretically travel. Sorry, just shut the camera. You could theoretically travel, for a $1,000 trip for a lot less. The value per mile was really, really good. So that's really important, using your air miles and Aeroplan. Now I use my air miles for my gas. So most of my gas gets covered by that. So that's kind of cool. Definitely want to make sure you're exploiting credit card churning and buying things on credit card to get the cashback points, which add up to travel points that you can use to take free vacations. I still have clothes from high school. That's right. You know what? Me too. What shirt am I wearing right now? This is a work shirt. I got this shirt 3 years ago for free from work. They're just giving it away. So yeah, like most of my clothes came for free from like random events and conferences. Most of my t-shirts were like $0. By the way, fire haircut, dude. Thanks. Appreciate that. It's didn't cost a penny. Dominique says Cardone isn't really big on frugality. He's all about living 10x Do you disagree or agree with his advice when it comes to spending? Disagree entirely. Well, I think you could 10x. So you can spend for your business, and that's different than spending on personal. I might invest in $1,000 on stuff for my business, and that can be a really good investment and pay off in a lot of ways, right? Like I might invest in a really nice printer or scanner that saves me time. On the personal side, I would never do that, but an auto feed scanner would save me quite a bit of time with scanning in some of the documents, legal documents and stuff. That's an investment in my business. That will actually make me way more efficient in my business. On the personal side, you're not running a business on the personal side. So I think you should run things super lean, just like a business would. If they weren't having a lot of revenue coming in, they'd run things super lean. On the personal side, you don't probably need an auto feed scanner to scan 10 documents a year. There's no excuse. That's just consumerism. That's where that's where my mindset is on spending. I don't think you just want to go crazy with spending. I also think that once you get to Grant Cardone's, well, once you become a multimillionaire, it doesn't matter. Like I could literally go out to lunch every single day with whoever I wanted and spend I could cover their lunch if I wanted to. Now it would be against the core fiber of my human being and feel terrible. I'd get like the cringies doing it, but I could do that and never deplete my passive income reserves. My portfolio would still continue to grow. I could spend 100 grand a year and still not deplete my passive income, right? I'm making way more than I need to live, even if I shut my business down tomorrow and just left everything on autopilot, right? That isn't an excuse to spend more. I think that's wasteful. I think Grant Cardone is being wasteful. I'm going to stop because I'm going to his conference. And I think he's doing some cool stuff on the sales side. I think he crushes that entrepreneurship side. And I get where he's coming from. So I can understand why a multimillionaire or someone with hundreds of millions, there's a saying, someone told me, I can't remember who it was. It was Jared told me. Shout out if you ever watch this, Jared, in the comments. I want you to know if you watch this, I want to hear about it in the comments, or message me on Instagram. But I think he told me that it's like someone like Oprah. If Oprah were to see a wad of hundreds, $10,000 sitting on the sidewalk, she should walk away from it. Her time to bend over and pick it up is a waste because she's a billionaire. And so she's earning more than that every second, right? And a second of her attention not spent, if she could just think of one small idea or one thing to move her money in one different way, that has more impact than her looking at the ground and saying, there's $10,000 there. I have to go bend down, pick it up. Now what do I do with this $10,000? Just put my life at risk. I'm going to put it in my purse. It's she would actually walk past $10,000. So someone like that, if you're a billionaire status, you shouldn't even think about what you're spending because it's a waste of your time. Your time is so valuable. And this isn't something I've been battling with. Oh, Kellen, if you ever watch these, Kellen and I had conversations about this specifically. He was the one who brought it up to me, and a few other friends had brought it up, and we were talking about this conundrum where as you become rich, I become more and more wealthy, and now I have so much passive income coming in. My time is literally, people are sending me e-transfers for $100, and I'm like, no, I don't even respond. I'm like, sorry, we'll book something in the future. I'll try my best to book something with you. But I'm honestly just too busy to sit down and coach people. For 45-minute calls, people are begging to give me $100 USD right now. And there's a lineup of them in my email box. Right now, I can go in there. I can start up some sort of course and say, here, $500, and I'll talk to you for 3 hours or something. I'm sure. And they would just take it, right? Because my time has become so valuable now that I literally am worth $100 an hour. So for me to go stand in line to save $10 on a pair of shoes or wait in line even at the gas station, and they do those sales where it's 20 cents off gas and it's lined up around the corner to get gas. It's literally not worth my time. But it goes against the core of who I am because I'm so frugal. I used to run 2 miles for a loonie. If someone told me there's a loonie in the forest under a leaf 1.5 miles from here, if you run and go get it, you can have it. I would run and get that loonie or toonie. I shouldn't do that. It's actually bad business for me to do that now. And I know that my time is more valuable. For me to go try to be frugal and save $10, I should probably just go pick up a call with someone, respond to someone in my email and say, hey, yeah, I'd love to do a call. Let's do it tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm better to send that email and do that call on Skype for 45 minutes and make that $100 USD than I am. And it'd be way better off even than trying to save $10. And so it's a thing that I've trained myself to be super frugal to unlock financial independence. I had to spend less than everyone else and make my dollars go a lot further. And that was what I was good at from a renovation perspective. In general, I just used to be really, really good with frugality. And I say used to be because I'm trying to make this mentality of I'm trying to be more focused on efficiency this year. That's my New Year's resolution. It's not spending less. It's actually trying to spend more to be more efficient. And so I'm getting over that, and it goes against the core nature of who I am, which is a super frugal guy. People know I'm like, waters all around on me, free waters. So yeah, it's a really good question, Dominique. I love that question that you brought up, because I did really get at that whole thing about, should you be frugal or should you focus on trying to earn more? And it really depends on the person. For me, I can just earn money like that. I can go spend an afternoon looking at properties and make $10,000 probably like that, and hook up an investor and help them make them tons of money. That's where my time should probably be spent, as opposed to trying to be frugal at the grocery store and spending an extra 10 minutes. Now, if while we're grocery shopping, for my wife to pull out her Flip app and us to spend 5 minutes quickly just price matching, that 5 minutes to save $100, that's like hundreds of dollars an hour. That's a good use of your time. Standing in line for 2 hours to save $10 on a pair of shoes, $5 an hour, probably not a good use of your time. So you got to also moderate all of this frugality talk with, as you build more wealth, your time becomes more valuable. Wealthy people are more their time is just more valuable. It's just the nature of it. Like when I was poor and just starting out, I would spend a whole afternoon with a friend for 10 hours. Now to spend 10 hours with a friend, that'll cost me thousands of dollars on the upside. So I have to be very cognizant of how I spend my time. Now there's so much value to me in spending time with friends that I just don't even think about that. I'll spend a whole day with a friend and not even think about the opportunity cost, which is what we're getting into right now, is the fundamental economic principle of opportunity cost. When you do one thing, you therefore cannot do the other. And so when I choose to spend time with friends, I therefore cannot do deals at the same time. And I've chosen a different path, and there is a cost for every single opportunity that you pursue. And this is a real problem. It's a first world problem. It is honestly a first world problem. 7 years ago, Mike at 19 is kicking this Mike in the face and saying, shut up, you're so blessed. You've worked so hard for this, and just shut up. Your life is good. Yeah, but opportunity cost. For those people who are struggling with that, I should do a video just on that, so we can flesh that out further. Lease or finance exotic cars. Michael Chung, it depends. I can see the value. Like Graham Stephan has an exotic car, and he's used that to promote his real estate business. It's got him a lot of clients, and his YouTube business as well. And so that's part of his image. And all the cost of that car depreciating, and the cost for insurance, and whatever the cost to maintain that car was. So whatever he bought it for, whatever it's worth today, the difference would be the real cost, because he could just sell it for whatever it's worth today and recoup most of his costs, I'm sure. Now there's probably insurance cost, etc. Those costs have, I'm sure, paid him 10x in the growth of his business, maybe more, right? So that was a good, if you actually listen to what he talks about, the sport exotic car was actually a good investment. Same with Ty Lopez. Those guys use their flashy car for business purposes. Now, that actually can make sense if you're going to buy an exotic car. There could be a point where I become a billionaire or hundreds of millions where it makes sense for me to have an exotic car, because it builds the business brand. It's what my investors, I might wear a suit sometimes. I probably should start wearing suits. Someone told me that when you're meeting with investors, you should be wearing suits, because that's what they want to see me in. It's not what I'm comfortable in. It's what they're more likely to invest in, more likely to give me deals. You dress for the job you want, etc. I used to wear a suit every day to work a lot of the time. So I went to Ivy Business School again, where you had to wear a suit a lot of times. And I don't like wearing a suit that much. That's why I don't. This is the most dressy I get usually, but a couple times a year I'll put on a suit, and that's an example of I guess dressing for and building for the business that you want. But let's talk about now we talked about exotic cars, yes or no. Now we're going to layer deeper, Michael Chung, about do you lease or do you own? I think I would always, so if you lease it, you can write off 100% of the payments. You could lease it under your business and it'd be 100% a write-off. If you buy it and you buy it personally, then there's of course only part of that can be written off towards your business. So you have to be very careful about how you do it, how you structure it. If I was going to do something under my business, I'd probably lease one. The advantage of buying one, I think the reason Grant bought his, is if you could find a deal on an exotic car. Imagine you could find a $100,000 Lambo for a little bit older one, right, for $80,000, and you knew it was worth $100 for sure, and you could buy it for $80, and you could drive it for a year and sell it for $90. Then you could make $10,000 on driving a Lambo for a year. That's not a terrible decision. You basically be car hacking. Your car costs to maintain the car would be negated by basically the 10,000 you're going to make when you sell it a year from now. So that argument could be made for buying an exotic car if you learned how to buy them and knew the exotic cars well and knew the market well, and you could buy them for a deal. That would make a lot of sense. So you could make the argument, the business case for buying exotic cars and it costing you nothing. And I've seen the business case made. I think Max Karg, love Max, great guy, follow him on Instagram, you can check him out. I think Max, if you ever end up watching this, I know you're so busy and you're doing the cleanse from taking on the YouTube content, but if you ever do watch this, you should start doing that. It would help your brand a ton, I think, flipping a luxury car. I did a video with him a while back about how he flips cars, right? If he flipped luxury cars, it would blow his coaching business up, I think, and his Instagram and all of that. It would just, certain personas that can do really, really well with, and that's how I would approach the Lambo exotic car thing. For me, I built who I am on being frugal. Like, dollar efficiency is what I'm known for. People know I renovate for 10 when everyone else spends 12. People know I spend 24 when everyone else spends 40. That's my thing, is frugality. So for me to step away from that is very much out of my character. Not going to say I won't try it, because I like to try everything once, but it just doesn't feel like it fits the core of who I am. It just feels wasteful and not for me. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and I understand why people do it. So Jake Wang says, I know you started to do a lot of deals last year and continue to. Do you worry you might compromise on your deal criteria if you're trying to hit a certain target of props and deal flow isn't there? Jake, great question. No. No in the sense that, so yes and no. No in the sense that we've set certain metrics. So like 25% return on investment plus appreciation plus arbitrage. So what that ends up equating to is usually like a 25 to 100% return on investment. That's sort of our target. Now, if the no part the yes part of compromising would be if we change the investment strategy. So if we move into commercial real estate, bigger deals, there is less as a percentage. There's big apartment deals, they aren't as profitable on a percentage basis, but the volume, the size of the deal allows for a lot more cash flow. So a couple $1 million building might cash flow 150,000 positive, but as a percentage, it's much worse than 20 houses, right? So the ROI is way higher with like under 6 units and less. The arbitrage opportunity is better, but that's not to say there is an arbitrage opportunity on the commercial side if I can get in with the right people. It's the reason I became a realtor, because I want to be able to get into majority of commercial real estate, like the good apartment buildings and the good deals, they sell privately. They never hit realtor.ca. You will never hear about them. They are realtor, knows someone who's selling it, who knows someone wants to buy it, connects them off market. That's how almost all of the deals happen. It's all this kind of stuff. So that's why I got my real estate license. I'm gonna start getting into some commercial realtors and start having those conversations. Once I close 1 or 2 big buildings in London, one like a $2 or $3 million building, get our name out there, people will start calling me with deals. Guys who are in their 60s who are tired, who've been doing this for a while, have 100 units or 200 units, we'll start acquiring portfolios, and that's how we're gonna get big. That's how we're going to continue to meet the deal flow, is buying portfolios of properties, because it's impossible to meet with the current channels we're using to buy properties. It's impossible to buy enough properties to meet the metrics. I could buy more fixer-up properties that need a lot of work if I built a bigger crew of guys. We have like 20 contracting type guys working, and we had a big network, a bigger network than we have now. I could buy more really rough properties and spend the money and create the equity that way. I can create the deals, right? Because you can actually create deals. They might not be deals on the buy side, but if you renovate them well enough to a certain standard, using a certain model, you can create enough cash flow that they become 1.5% real properties or 2% real properties or 1% real. 1% real is still like no one in any market is really getting those except for maybe London or Windsor. And in London, most people aren't getting 1% anymore. The standard just on the resale side, when I sell an investor's property, is like 0.6% of 1% rule. So like we're talking 6 cap. So yeah, I mean, it depends on the investor profile too. I'm also getting investors reaching out to me now who say, I just want single family houses. That's my strategy. I'm okay with 20% ROI. I don't want your student rentals. I don't want your multifamily. That isn't my strategy. Find this for me and manage it. And if someone wants that, I'm going to find it for them. And I'm going to build them a retirement portfolio of real estate properties, right? We're going to build them a portfolio and we're going to manage it for them that fits their desires and their needs. So that's when I say yes or no. It depends on the investor profile. And so right now, when I get a new investor reaching in who wants to buy a few properties, I'll send them a few sampling of deals and I'll see what they like. They'll say back to me, no, this isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for X or Y. And so we do what works for the investor, right? At the end of the day, I think it's impossible what we're doing is like nearly impossible. How can people get 25% rate of return to begin with? REITs are promising 10%. We're getting 2.5 times to start, plus appreciation, plus arbitrage immediately. As we get big enough, I don't know how we can scale this model up. It's going to eventually get hard. We're gonna eventually get into bigger buildings, and eventually go down to like 20% rates of returns, 15, 20%, as we start taking on anyone's capital, right? And so eventually it should dilute when we expand other markets. But for now, I think London, we could probably do 250 properties, 500 properties before I would need to change the criteria. That said, there will still be 20% or 30% or 40% of the deals we're doing will still be those awesome bird properties. But some investors don't want that. A lot of investors don't want to put up $70,000 to renovate. They want something they buy, they put 20% down, and they just get cash flow, get $1,000 a month. And they're happy with that. And so it depends on the investor's profile. I don't know. That's to answer your question. It's a complicated one, Jake. Right Way Management's trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. But at this moment, we're trying to do, like I started this company, co-founded it with a friend to help people, right? And so I'm going to help people how they want to be helped. And it's easier for us to manage turnkey properties. And so if most of our investors start wanting properties that don't need to be renovated, we just won't renovate. We'll just have maintenance guys that do maintenance fix-ups, and we'll focus on cash flow, or, you know what I mean? I'm never going to compromise to the sense that I'm always going to focus on cash flow. I will never buy for speculation. And I'm not comfortable having that conversation with an investor. It's too risky, actually. Like, I'm not going to say never, because you never know. Maybe an investor has a really good play, some insider info, and we can make a development play. But I don't see myself becoming a developer right now. It's a risky business. You need to have deep pockets, and it's not me. Let's see if we can blast through these questions here real quick. So Benjamin, good to see you on, Benjamin. Dominique says, yes, I did. Tommy says, that was an awesome episode. Thanks, appreciate that. Some more great comments. Great movie, went through a bunch of different paths today. Nice, yeah. It's great show. Although I left feeling a little depressed, I'll be honest. None of the endings were really what I was hoping for. Almost like it's almost twisted though exactly the way you expect Black Mirror to be. Alan Lawrence, are you a hard money lender if there's a good deal? Alan Lawrence, yes, 100%. Reach out to me. If you have a good deal, I will back it. I can raise cash to close on a property like that. I even have personally kind of cash, but yeah, of course. There's a good enough deal, I would private lend. The Financial Wolf says, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Happy 2019. Welcome on. Good to see you on. Thanks for answering. I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel soon. Do you have any advice for someone starting out or anything you would have done differently? Yeah, honestly, like if you're starting a YouTube channel, Benjamin, start with experimenting with your style. Find out what it is that you want to be doing. For me, like my value prop, like my value proposition to my subscribers, I think, is just throwing so much knowledge down their throats. I'm not necessarily entertaining, though I need to work on that probably, be more entertaining. But I just I'm trying to throw out all of the knowledge, right? And so that's been my value prop, is I try to provide a lot of knowledge. And I did this because I wanted to share financial literacy with people and help them with their, basically anything related to finances and entrepreneurship. So business, personal finance, all of that, right? It's up to you, right? To find your niche, to find the thing you want to target, but be specific. Like start very narrow, I think, at the thing that you want to do. So maybe you want to talk about real estate, talk about something, right? YouTube is getting saturated too, so make sure you have whatever it is, you're doing something different than someone else, right? Like don't have the exact same content as the next person, right? Unless you can present that content in a more engaging way. But find a way to add value and to not just do the same thing as someone else. But even if you're just using YouTube as a journaling process, like a journaling activity, it's good to go back. I can go back, my channel's not a year old, but come end of March, it'll be a year old. And I can go back and say, where was I at a year ago? And it's crazy to see where my mind was at even a year ago and reflect on that. And it's all documented for even myself for therapeutic, reflection purposes. It's there. That's the cool thing about YouTube. And you're putting yourself out there too. There's obviously downside risk with that, but there's also a lot of upside risk with it too, because it'll pay off. The people I've met, hundreds of people that I've met, and it's awesome. It's great. So yeah. Ebates is good, can be used to store pickup at Lowe's or Home Depot. Payment is also a great app to pay utilities and taxes. on your credit card to get rewards. Eric, you told me about this, and I need to get on this. I need to be doing Ebates and paying everything like utilities through credit card. I need to get on that because we pay a lot of utilities for all the properties, and I should be doing that. It's a good point. That'd be a way to be more frugal and to get my utility costs down. But did we talk about insurance in this episode? There's a lot of other things I could talk about, how you negotiate good prices on insurance. I personally have a $5,000 deductible on my car. My wife and I pay $80-something a month for our car insurance. So that's, as an example, we drive a 2009 Ford Focus. Kyle, my dude. That was probably when you tweeted. Thanks for answering. Did that question. Next one, I see both points indeed. Great insights. It's one of my favorite topics, the value of your time as your business grows. Yeah, I should do a video on that specifically. Benjamin says, loony under a leaf. What? I'm so confused. Is that the name of the channel? What would I have done differently too to answer your question about YouTube? I don't know. I guess I would have. You have to experiment. You're going to look at if you go look at my old videos, they're so much worse than they are today. I'm way better today than I was then, and I'm more comfortable. I can talk in front of the camera all day, and I'm not nervous at all. I used to be very, very nervous, and so you build confidence and all of that. Just experiment, have fun. Put something out there and have fun with it. It's definitely my thoughts. Alan Lawrence says, "What's your smaller reno budget you've ever had?" I guess you mean smallest. So smallest reno budget? I don't know, a couple $100. Depends on the scope of the work, right? I've bought properties that had one bedroom with bad carpet in it. We just changed the carpet in the bedroom and did a little bit of painting. It's a couple $100. We were in and out of there in a day or two. It depends on the scope of the work, definitely. I could brag about some costs. Like I did 6 kitchens with quartz counters and undermount sinks for $4,500 once. That was a sweet deal. Sweet deal. We're talking like under $800 or $600 for quartz counters in a kitchen. Some companies pay for granite and quartz. Like some people pay companies $5,000 for that. So that's like 90% or like 400% more, 90% less. Just amazing. Yeah, I got lots of deals like that I can brag about. There's the furnace program used to go for a while with the Green On and the rebates programs, and I would get furnaces after rebates from the government for like $400 or $500, brand new furnaces. So I'd spend $2,000 for the furnace, do a couple of furnaces, get 1,500 rebates back or 1,600 rebates, and then have $400 in actual out of pocket for a brand new furnace. So those are some cool deals. I got a lot of cool deals along the way. Oh, do I gotta hurry? Dominique says, have meals with friends, 2 in 1 if you gotta eat. That's right. That's right. Try to be efficient. What's the shadowing thing you mentioned in your last live stream for this month? So it's basically a mentorship of sorts. A lot of people, like the Stefanarnios of the world and all those like Rich Dad, Poor Dad and all those Keyspire, and a lot of them charge these coaching programs like $50,000 a year. It's insane for these really high-end programs, and they don't know anything that I don't know. I'm telling you, they probably know less in some areas, right? And I'm sure they know more in some areas too, but they're nothing special. These guys who've done 20 or 30 flips or something, which is like, I've done 20 or 30 flips too. Does that make me an expert? I've 50 properties too. When do you become an expert, right? I guess 10,000 hours. But they're charging like $50,000 or $60,000 for these coaching programs, and they do like a call a week or a call every 2 weeks. I think it's a call a week for the most premium program, and you get some content, and they basically coach you for like 1 hour, and it's like $50,000 for these programs. I'm like, crap. Like, I think a real good coaching program would have someone come and do the actual stuff, like see how it's done from A to Z. That's really where you're going to get value, is taking action on what you're taught, right? And just being a fly on the wall. I'm like, what would something like that cost? Imagine if a coaching call a week is $50,000, something like that would cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And so I thought, I'm also stressed out and could use some personal help. Maybe there's something there. And someone actually planted the idea in my head and reached out to me and just kind of said that, a program like that would be worth 6 figures. Could I instead come move to London or be around you and shadow you like full time and do that program for a year or whatever, almost like a year of school kind of thing, like an MBA for a year. And I don't have any money to pay you, but I can I can give you my time. So like, will you mentor me for free? Like, would you give me a free mentorship? And so that's kind of what this is. It's a free mentorship. And there's I guess I opened it up to 3 spots. I think that's the most I could probably handle. And we have 2 people, Michael Chung and Jonas, I think are going to be the 2. They're going to be, nothing's 100% yet, but I think moving here in the other unit of my house and experiencing this. And so it's one of those things where I think coming out of that mentorship, they're going to have a lot of knowledge, probably end up doing within a year or 2. Anyone who's on the ground floor of this in a year or 2 ends up with a property or 2 and is way better off than they were before. Likely at the end of the mentorship, there'll be job opportunities or business opportunities for me to partner with them. And so that's what I'm hoping, that they become me, but different, right? And learn what I know. And so that's sort of the thing. It could become an indefinite thing. And I kind of,
That might not be enough.
oh, I think it's back on. Sorry, battery died in the wireless pack. Can you hear me now, guys? Should be loud and clear. Hey, I'm Daddy's live streaming. You're not supposed to be in here. You know that. Oh, little bugger's smiling. I have to go, guys. I really do have to go. I'm just gonna really quickly read these comments. The going grocery shopping after this. Flip app saved me $7.20 on an item I was gonna buy anyways. Yes, Jonas, awesome. Do you still use Kijiji to find tenants? Yes, 100%. It's one of the main feeds. I don't pay for Kijiji ads. I do the free ones. Advice for first-time investor trying to house hack. Check out my house hacking videos. Some really good ones on that. You can find ways to rent out unused portions of your house. Screen your tenants really, really well. That's the advice I'm going to give you. Hey, Mike, just saw your show up. Don Trent, how you doing? We'll watch the replay tomorrow. Sounds good. Just buying cash, refinancing later, a bad idea. What are the cons? That's a great strategy. I've used that a lot, buying cash, refinancing. The pros are you can put a huge mortgage on it and get all your money back. The cons are, I don't even know. Whoa, we're losing our light kit. I got to go, guys. Anyway, reach out to me if you want to chat about some of the specifics about it, but I guess I kind of have one spot. We have 2, we have a 3rd person who kind of would be doing it. Basically, you'd have to move to London to make it work, and ideally, you'd rent the 3rd bedroom in that unit, and so it'd just be like the firehouse. It's a separate unit, it has its own kitchen and everything. Brand new, just renovating everything, brand new IKEA kitchen and all that, so, okay. Yeah, so reach out to me if you're interested in something like that. But yeah, ideally it'd be like a long-term thing where they become part of the business and we build something friggin' awesome. So I want it to be a long-term thing. If I'm spending the time to train people, I want to offer them a job at the end of it. That would be the idea. Or build a business with them and help them in that way. So, please send me that amendment tomorrow. Yeah, I already sent it off to the realtor and closed that deal, so it's on him. I'll follow up with a message and remind him to do that. Yeah, we'll get rolling. All right, peeps, I gotta go. Seriously, my daughter's gotta do bedtime, and she's in the room now. So thank you so much for watching this stream, and we'll talk more about how to be frugal in the new year. Everyone, you know what I say at the end of every single stream. To unlock wealth through you, there are 3 levers. You gotta spend less, earn more, and maximize returns in that order. Knowledge is power, guys. Bye, everyone. End the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Smash the like button, and if you're still watching, let me know in the comments that you're still watching. It means a lot to me.